So, we're out.
Yes.
Like, I like you, but you're too good at lying, and I don't like that anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, it's clearly you. I mean,
It's
the
not
body,
me. I'm
the
with you in
body.
oxygen.
Yeah, the body's right behind. So, I'm sorry, man, but it's clearly you. And
Well, you
I'm,
already voted, so.
I did. No, what? No! You
Yes!
fool! I do not
Oh
like you doing
I can't
my
believe
that!
it!
god.
That was
Victory!
You have
Oh
got to be
my
kidding me.
That was
Put
great.
this in a video, Moriarty!
What kind of a boyfriend would forget that? Would forget that a type of guy could see what he has and plus he leaves, don't let me go. Just about me, know your love with an object cost, soon you will know. You're not living till you're living with me. You're not winning till you're winning me. You're not getting till you're getting to me. You're not living till you're living for me. This is the potential makeup song. I'll be just one. Oh baby, please help me.
Just go with the flow. It's a lot harder to develop critical thinking and think like we're thinking now.
Oh, and that's another thing is that critical thinking is a skill. So, like, even if you're spending so much of your time in theory and in abstract thought, that still teaches you how to be a better person overall, anyways, even if it never leads anywhere. Because being able to be that critical thinking it will eventually lead you to problem solvings and means to an end results, anyways. But if
Yeah.
you only spend that time thinking about the results 24/7, and there are cases, and the world does care about results to an extent, but it's like if you're only thinking about how to get something out of every situation and when something will happen because you're desperate or something, that's not a good way to go about it usually. It's just like you would rather be in a headspace where you can be creative and you can be innovating, and maybe even if it was in an infinite loop of looking for new ideas and truths and theories, that's still fun to do. That's still being able to like explore. It could be uncomfortably weird to only look for answers and not have conclusions, but
Yeah.
sometimes you hopefully you'll have conclusions every once in a while. But you know,
Yeah, I think through enough critical thinking, you find definites, you find like absolutes. But yeah, I mean, absolutes are kind of can always be like argued. So it's like, you think, say, I mean, for example, like thinking that like there's an eternal hell. That is an absolute to the absolute extreme, right? That could be argued, right? Any absolute can be argued. So if you say, well, you let's say like I say you have to do semen retention or you're gonna die old, or sorry, die young, or like I say something crazy like that, and it's like that's not necessarily true, and all absolutes have arguments against them, and that's what's kind of, but that's something a critical thinker would understand, and I think that's why we don't find very many absolutes because we're confident enough in our own thinking and in our own analyses to know that absolutes are usually wrong a lot of the time, like when you're just completely dead set and dead certain on something.
The next dilemma is from Anthony Cashman. My insight and communication skills are very keen and brilliant. Okay, I can already tell, man, just based on the words that you're using. Your word choice, you're definitely on a pretty high level in terms of your articulation, but very often I tend to be confused and build connections to too many things, to the point where I can't be as comfortable on the daily, or whenever I forget to hold myself accountable for something I didn't even realize was my fault. Okay, hold on real quick, bro. Hold on real quick. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to figure out like what you're getting across here, man. But from what I can tell, you're taking on more than you can handle, and you, as a result, are kind of slipping up in certain areas, right? You're building too many connections to too many things, Like I said, taking on more than you can handle. And because of that, you forget to hold yourself accountable for things that you didn't realize was your fault. Now, right off the bat, okay, that seems like an issue of setting boundaries. Okay, you need to learn to set boundaries with people, set boundaries with yourself. For example, let's say that you know you're taking on more responsibilities than you can handle. You need to start letting go of certain responsibilities if possible. Okay, stop saying yes. Okay, so no is a very, very powerful word in context. Okay, learn how to say no respectfully. Learn how to say no. For example, with me, I used to say yes to pretty much every collaboration offer that people would throw my way. And then I realized that I probably cannot sustain that workload. I can't do that. And I have to start turning people down. Even though I would love to do that, I would love to collaborate with everyone that reaches out to me. I can't. I don't have the capacity to do that. And you have to know your limits as well. So you need to take some time to sit down and write every single responsibility that you have in your life right now and start cutting out the things that you know you don't want to do for the long term. And from there, the accountability will come naturally.
For Jacob, I don't know if I'm playing any scenes from either of these channels, but here's what I got for Jacob. His alertness slash acknowledgement slash focus. I think I'll just start with focus. Jacob focuses really well on the things that seem to matter or have bearings of truth. He will actually acknowledge people through what he can tell is the truth and put in his own input in words. Acknowledge people through what he can tell is the truth and put in his own input in words into what he thinks is important. And it will still be true, at least for me, what he's saying is true or even factual. And what will come down to being very curious and still compassionate for other people. His focus is one of the bigger reasons why this is possible. He doesn't ignore the reality, but Jacob will actually go as far as to talk about the things that maybe people don't want to talk about right away.
Damn, I love that description about me. Not in like a selfish way, but it's like in a sense that it reminds me of the actual impact I'm making, bro. Because, like you said, I'll talk about certain things first before other people start to talk about them. So in a sense, in a very like goofy self, I don't know, proclaiming sense, I am like a pioneer of certain topics. Not necessarily NoFap. I came into the NoFap movement scene like late type stuff, but very good point, bro. I got nothing to elaborate with that.
In a way that's still diplomatic. He will take those risks
Diplomatic,
and
that's
still
what's
be a
up.
caring person. Okay? In a way that's still diplomatic. He will take those risks and still be a caring person. The next good thing other
Dang.
than focus that Jacob has is, if I didn't say acknowledgement already, if I had already been talking about his compassion, Jacob, as I said actually just a second ago, is his alertness is really good. Jacob pays attention to the moment. He knows how to stop when something's not going right. He knows how to pull a reversal card if something isn't even as stimulating as it could have been. Maybe it's getting too boring. He'll find a way to make it creatively work. Jacob has good timing, in other words. He actually knows how to make sure that the things that he does or does not do will come to the best odds. And
Dang, this, bro, your way of elaborating it. Oh my god, I'm not trying to gas you up in like a negative, like, no, not negative, but like inauthentic way. But deadass, I've never heard these sequence of words been aligned before. Like, I don't know how to explain it, bro. But it's like basically this description of me is the first time I'm ever hearing that description of me. If that makes sense. Basically, man, that alertness, describing alertness like that warms my heart, bro.
well,
You're not winning till you're winning me. You're not getting till you're getting to me. You're not living till you're living for me.
That
the
yeah.
framework the framework used to determine maintain absolutes, even if the absolutes are correct either way without emotion, it's not so much the emotion that makes it awkward, it's the idea that you're using the framework to guarantee an absolute which is guaranteed, but you're using that framework as if it's a given for other contexts. Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean, Kyle, but like, let's say
Yeah.
you know that 1 + 1 = 2, and you still judge that fact. Like, there's a way to judge facts, if you know what I mean. Like, there's a way to understand the information that is guaranteed in a way that actually makes you wrong anyways, in a sense. You're not wrong about what you said, but you're wrong about how you use that wisdom. Like you're wrong about the application of it. Like I didn't give an example of what 1 + 1 = 2 compares to with that, but like I'm pretty sure you know what I mean with the other thing I just said. Like is that you can judge the effects, and that's something I said before, even when I was maybe going a little weird before, but like but you can misinterpret the information you have, even if it isn't an absolute or a guaranteed not. It's like this is a weird conflict I had with some people that knew what they were doing, and then the way that they applied that wisdom was just out of sorts. And it was like, oh my gosh, what do I tell them? Like, I can't tell them that they're wrong because then they'll make me look like the psychopath. But it's like, but at the same time, if you try to correct them, and you're right, and they believe that, they may not even know how to learn from that, if that makes sense. Like they may be ashamed of that, but they won't know how to improve from that. It's like so.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
because they'll be right about the fact, but they won't be right about the application and the wisdom behind it. It's like
right.
So it's hard to rewire.
Sometimes in those situations, it's just best not to say anything at all.
Yeah.
And just keep your mouth shut. Sometimes, and a lot of times, it's better just to not say anything. It depends, like the type of person you're talking to, though. Of course.
This insight that I have, it kind of did come out of a bottle, but it also came with practice. Like I actually was able to like try new things on my channel on YouTube, or even just being creative and innovating new ideas and potentials and opportunities over time. Bit by bit, that helped me become more, even unconsciously insightful. Like there are things I can do really well. I didn't even. There was one time I solved a puzzle and I didn't even think. I just solved it. I didn't know I could solve it. I was like, oh no.
Wow.
But
yeah.
But
now, to continue on with your dilemma, I also have a huge problem with people criticizing me, both for pointing me out as someone I'm actually the exact opposite of, and for being too personally and privately exploiting of my own information in an attempt to follow my passions. Okay, so if people are criticizing you, I don't really understand what you're saying as far as being too personal and privately exploiting your own information in an attempt to follow your passions. I don't really have enough context behind that to know what that really means, but what I will say is dealing with criticism is really a matter of dealing with your own inner critic. Because if somebody says something negative to you or about you, you hear through the grapevine that somebody's been talking about you, and it really genuinely bothers you in your soul, that's because it resonates with you. Whatever that person said about you, it resonated with you. It struck a nerve. For example, I'm wearing a black shirt right now. If somebody were to comment, Jordan, I hate that white t-shirt that you're wearing, it would hold no contextual relevance to me because I know that I'm wearing a black t-shirt in this video. It wouldn't make any sense in the context of the video. In the same way, when you're a self-assured person, when you have a good sense of self, people's criticisms won't hold any contextual relevance in your life because it's your life and you're living it. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Now, obviously, you don't want to be narcissistic and not be considerate of how you affect other people's well-being, but my general rule of thumb is to be considerate of people's well-being, but not of their opinion. That right there is the boundary that I set. And like I said, it comes back to setting boundaries. Okay, you have to have a good sense of self. It all starts with you. You need to sit down and evaluate where you are in life and how happy you are with your life. Set those boundaries with yourself first, and then you can set boundaries with other people.
I want you, first of all, to understand it's important to acknowledge that every addiction, regardless of its nature, often stems from an underlying issue, and it requires our attention. And to me, it seems that you are seeking liberation from pornography. As a matter of fact, that's what I was reading from your energy, and that your true longing lies in understanding the deeper reasons behind why it's there. My sense is that you actually can sense that something is deeper. I also sense that this journey is not about feeling ashamed, but rather about recognizing that our heart, mind, and body are yearning for healing from these underlying issues. Embracing honesty and confronting our shadows holds immense value, as it aids in breaking free from the clutches that control us. Your body, your mind, your soul wants freedom. It doesn't want to be controlled by anything. So when we embrace the honesty and we confront that shadow, it's a courageous thing. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's courageous, it's transformative, and it steps into breaking free from addiction. And here's some things that might be able to help your journey. One is always acknowledging the problem, which I see you're doing. The first step is to recognize and admit that there is an addiction, and that there needs something to be addressed. And you recognize that addiction is only pointing to a deeper issue, which you're seeing too. And seek support, which you're also doing. Reach out to trusted individuals, people who can help support you. Sometimes meditating and listening to our bodies help. Self-reflection. The thing is that I've learned is that the truth is always within us. The real situation is always right there. We don't really have to go seeking outside to find out what's really going on within. Sometimes taking that little bit of time to meditate. Let those emotions come forward. Explore what those emotions are. Ask them why they're there. What's your triggers? What are the patterns that can continue to contribute to this addiction? Write them down as you start to notice. Because right now, what my sense is that you're ready. You're looking to embrace being awoken. You're looking to be free of all these things that are in front of you. You're recognizing that you're realizing you have some self-awareness, which is good because it helps you understand that underlying issue. And you recognize what needs to be addressed. It'll help bring it through.
You're not living, no, 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 no,
Never heard of this yet. Never heard this song. I'm so proud of you. It's awesome.
No. This is the potential breakup song. Our album needs just one. Oh, baby, please tell me this is the potential makeup song. Please just admit you're wrong. Which will it be? Which will it be?
But there are times where I do put a bit more effort and I have to think, is my brain a bit more intricately? And those are the times where I think about what it would have been like if I were to think more simply or more clarified. And that is where the communication does come in handy. It does help to have a good communication. It does help to have a bit more of a grounding and responsibility and mannerism of conducting myself. Maybe an etiquette, if that's the right way to explain that. But so maybe having more respect for people, maybe having more respect for what they would want to hear from me, and even if it's not so much a restraint on my freedom of speech, I guess you could say, but it helps to be a little bit more improved in a way that not conforms, but makes you a person that you would want to see, and other people would hopefully want to see, even if it's a little different what your image is. It's yeah, it's about the both worlds. Hopefully, it's not too much conformity, but it's not too much out of whack free will. So
ultimately what you're saying is just kind of goes back to mirroring, right? Because
yeah,
when you're around different individuals, you're going to act completely differently around specific people, right? Some people are going to make you really giddy and happy and fucking, kind of the best version of yourself socially. And then some people you're going to get around and all you're going to do is not say very many words, and you're just going to simply enjoy each other's company. So your interactions with people, or your content creation, or however you're interacting with the world, is going to change from scenario to scenario. And that doesn't mean that you're faking it or putting on a front. That's just, you're just reacting to your environment, I think. Right?
yeah.
That's how I view it anyway.
And to continue on with your dilemma, finally, I have trust issues with creativity, as there is a huge tragedy I have concerning how I want to slowly fix my life problems if possible, not limited to my friendship and relationship goals or childhood trauma, that I don't want to lamely excuse being inspirational just so that things get better. If you have any input as to what I should do for any of these 3 to 5 various dilemmas based on what I have mentioned, feel free to summarize for the audience and me. Thanks in advance, Jordan. Okay, I might need to reread that one, I'm not gonna lie. I have trust issues with creativity, as there is a huge tragedy I have concerning how I want to slowly fix my life problems if possible, not limited to my friendship and relationship goals or childhood trauma, that I don't want to lamely excuse being inspirational just so that things get better. I'm failing to see what creativity has to do with that, But if you have inner issues, man, if you have inner issues and you're a creative person, if this is what you're trying to say, like you don't necessarily know how to express yourself creatively, just try different things. Try different ways to express yourself, but it really starts with getting to know yourself first. Okay, you have childhood trauma, as you said, you have friendship and relationship goals, and it's good to dig deep into those things. Okay, don't necessarily peel off the band aid, but just examine what's there. Examine the way that you feel on a day to day basis. It all comes back to you. Okay, self examination, deep introspection, figuring out who you are, why you are the way that you are, why you are the person that you are, and just reverse engineering the life that you want to live. Okay, once you figure out who you are, figure out who you want to become, and if being a creative is a part of that, then consider that as well. And reverse engineer your life. Reverse engineer that version of you. Okay, how can you get from where you are right now to that version of you? And once you do that through things like therapy and journaling and meditation and any other introspective practice, you're going to find a much deeper sense of self, which will help you with all three of your dilemmas.